he's going to sell that subscription.
Type 9. Type 9. Type 9.
everybody. Welcome back to the live stream. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. This is the Friday live stream, and we are gonna have a lot of stuff to discuss today. So I hope you have your thinking and your thinking caps and your non-thinking caps and your sit back and relax caps, because these are all different things that we'll be doing today. As usual, the Everyday Growth Advisors partnered with Option Swing is here to save the day, provide you with the summary of the pre-market so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. Today, right off the bat, we have had a very interesting week with a lot of developments on the earnings front. We actually hit a very crucial target. If you go back and watch the previous live stream, I said that this would happen with SPY, and it actually came true. So, it's been a really interesting week, and we're gonna go through it together. As usual, we'll break down the news. If you're not a part of Option Swing, please check it out. If you are part of Option Swing, thank you for coming by here. And all right, let's get into this, because today I'm gonna try and take the first 10 questions, because I foresee us trying to keep the stream within an hour. So the first 10 breakdowns will be done, and then if I have more time, I'm going to continue those. But we're going to do the regular breakdown, and I'm going to try and go through both Apple and Amazon's earning report, or the income statements, balance sheets, so that maybe you can try and see the way that I do it or what I make out of it. Maybe it helps you out, maybe it teaches you something. And yeah, so we're going to do that. In some basic news, Boeing raises $25 billion in debt through bonds that are going to be due in 2060. And these bonds were so famous that they were oversubscribed and attracted better pricing than might have expected, which kind of makes sense, because Boeing has about, if you read Boeing's earnings report, you will realize they have about $430 billion in deferred revenue. So 430 billion in revenues in the future going forward. So this is going to be definitely an interesting day for Boeing. I recommend following Boeing today and seeing if you can get a breakout from that region that has been trading within. And we might see Boeing breakout today. That's something they might want to keep track of. In other news, we have Microsoft that sorry, not Microsoft, but Amazon that is down after having higher than expected operating expenses, which I actually mentioned multiple times that this was my major concern. And Apple actually showing once again robustness with its top and bottom line, which is really, really amazing. Some headlines from Bloomberg: coronavirus likely to last 2 years. News is still cycling coronavirus because that's the only thing that sells. Futures drop after tech earnings, which is when they say tech earnings, they literally mean Amazon and Apple. Apple kind of traded flat, and Amazon kind of sold off. So this has been a little bit of a sell-off since yesterday. And as we know, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft make up the biggest caps on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. So when these three move, it takes everything along with it, right? So remember, knowing market caps and knowing the structure of these indexes are super important to, be aware of how everything interacts with each other. It's an interdependent system. So, keep your trajectory and your thinking always alert. Let's see what else is there. Australian unemployment may reach 10%, 11%. And UK factories record a slump as coronavirus upends supply chain. So you can see, the effect is kind of delayed in some countries, and we're seeing all of that happen now. So with Bloomberg, not really that crazy. With Wall Street Journal, there's supposed to be a meeting with Berkshire today, I believe, and I'm not sure if it's still going through. Government aid falls short for many businesses. This is the government aid program in the U.S. There was some. I think now the Justice Department is looking into this, seeing how the monies were given out, and that's going to be another issue there. So, and then let's see what else is there. Democrats, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm not interested in the politics. This is strictly finance. So lockdowns ease, right? So I think some states are gonna ease lockdowns. I think there are certain states that are gonna be lifting lockdown rules and allowing a little bit of flexibility, and some countries as well are doing the same thing. Rent is due today, but many tenants can't and won't pay. This we expected all of this, right? So as a result of all of this news and the earnings from Amazon, we saw SPY, as I had discussed in the previous live stream, where I said there was an impulsive, corrective, and another impulsive wave. It has now, as I said, it was going to come up to test this two moving averages, which were going to act as a very strong resistance. And the reason why is because it coincides with the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement, which is the golden ratio from the bottom. You can see that. So the market actually reversed here, and we can actually see a possibility for us to go down to the 50 and 23 levels here first, and ultimately the 50 and 61.8 down here before resuming an uptrend. There's a higher chance that we'll probably bounce on this level if we want to continue the higher highs pattern, right? But then if we make that low, this might be a fake out to try and catch some bulls who are not kind of paying attention to the market. If the market actually dips down below the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement, then we may as well go and see a test back to the 23.6. So this will be an interesting scenario to see how SPX plays out the next few days. Well, today is Friday, so we'll see how it plays out on Monday. My guess, if anything, we're going to continue the bearish trend down to the 50 and 23.6. So the 50% retracement is where more likely we are heading in the short term. However, the bulls are more than likely going to keep the pressure up to push prices higher. In my opinion, Amazon's earnings weren't that bad as what the analysts are making it out to see. Apple's earnings were not that bad. We actually saw very positive earning results from both of them, but just because of headwinds, structural headwinds, and then the growth on the top and bottom line, that is what is causing this sell-off. If you ask me, perfect time to buy into Amazon and Apple, both of them. If they sell off further, sure, be a buyer of both, honestly. I think that it's a good strategy. You can also see on the 1 hour, SPY has been using the 200 moving as a kind of a support, which is kind of happening here. If we don't see a extension down further from this we have seen an impulsive wave. We need to see a corrective wave before another impulsive wave on the 1 hour. So we may actually see a corrective wave, a temporary buy up today before another sell-off, and that would just be my guess. I'm completely guessing and speculating here. That's what this is about. I'm basically speculating. I'm not saying that this is 100%. I'm saying there's a possibility based on patterns, right? See, so you have these impulsive and corrective waves, and so based on this pattern, we can see SPY has been making these corrective waves every often, right? And now we're due for another corrective wave. We had one mini corrective wave here, another wave here, and then now I see a possibility for us to go up before coming down again, because the pressure is on the bears. So the bearish momentum is taking precedence now, just because of the news, right? And then once the news cycles through, and then sometime in the first week of May, I can assure you, once countries start getting out of the lockdown, what's going to happen is the news is going to start to cycle good news, right? And then good news comes out, and it's going to push the price up. And then once the good news comes out, maybe there will be some bad news, and then the news pushes the price down again, because it's a narrative-driven market. So bottom line is, don't listen to the news. It's entertainment. As I always say, it's not something that you should be paying attention to, okay? So I'm going to go through the pre-market movers right now, just see what's moving in the pre-market. I'm going to refresh this page really quickly. And then I'm going to go through the earnings report and what is important from there, or what I see Welcome everybody. Just gonna say hi real quickly over here. I was mentioning earlier we're gonna try and keep the session as short as possible today. I want to keep it within an hour, so thank you all 50 people for being here. And I will be continuing the live stream right now. So for the pre-market movers today, we have some biotech, I believe. We have some Chinese companies. Just ignore all of the ones that are below $1. All these are out. We have AAL, American Airlines, selling off 5% off today. Watch that one. Maybe you can catch a day trade for a corrective wave out of the impulsive wave that's pushing down. And then this is an energy company. Actually, energy companies have been booming recently just because oil has been rebounding. However, I still remain undecided if I want to jump into oil. I'm kind of not even going to jump into oil right now just because I don't feel comfortable doing so. I do see very good prospects in companies that are doing tankers. As you know, right now the amount of oil in the world has just shot through the roof. Many companies are having supply issues, right? And with these supply issues, they are now outsourcing these into tankers that are sitting on the ocean lines. And some companies that you can look out for will be Frontline FRO. I believe that's the ticker symbol, FRO. There's also Nordic something, and maybe NAT. I think it is called. Let me see, NAT. Yeah, Nordic American Tankers. Look out for that one. Look out for FRO, Frontline. This company is really undervalued in my opinion. They used to have $25,000 that they were charging per $25,000 per tanker before this oil crisis happened, and now they're charging 200,000. And this is a company that has a very good balance sheet and it's profitable, but it's been sold off and it's holding below the levels that it's at, which is actually very surprising. So have a look at FRO, have a look at Nordic, and I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I want to keep it short and simple. So and then you have Ford, which is also continuing to sell off. There was some upgrades and downgrades today. I think Beyond got upgraded. Beyond got downgraded. Amazon has been maintaining its upgrades. Its holdings. Majority of firms have been just maintaining their outlook on Amazon. And Apple is named the top pick on iPhone services. Momentum shows good moving forward. So let me just go through these two earning reports, and I'll try to do it as quickly as possible, so that I'll try to do it in a proper manner. So we'll do Apple first. I like Apple's earning report. It was actually, if I don't know if people read this report properly, but to me this is a straightforward case that shows strength and robustness from top and bottom line. Once again, the total revenues of the company grew very slightly. I think 1%. From a year ago, which is very surprising because I was expecting revenues to dwindle. Okay, so that was already a surprise for me. The fact that the 1% was a positive, that was already a great one. And then they reach a new services revenue all-time high of 13 billion, and this is amazing news as an investor. I have been a long-time believer that if Apple can diversify its business model from iPhones to services and monetize that platform, it would be a great win for its long-term solid position as a leader in that segment. So the first part of this report is kind of fluff, just kind of going through. Oh, we have donated tens of millions of masks and custom face shields, which I really think is a great noble thing for Apple to do. As an investor, I'm proud that they're doing something like that. And they have Apple teams around the world kind of showing how resilient they are. And so they have generated operating cash flow of 13 billion during the quarter, up 2.2 billion over a year ago. That's showing positive increase in cash flows, which is good. And they have a commitment for 5 years to contribute 350 billion to the U.S. economy. Another great stride that Apple is doing. I mean, I'm guessing this has something to do with conversations with Tim Apple and Donald Trump. Yes, I know his name is Tim Cook. I just like to make fun of the fact that Trump calls him Tim Apple. um, okay, and then they have declared cash dividends, and I think they either must have. I gotta check, but I think they might have increased dividends, or yeah, it is increase of 6%. So yeah, so they increase dividends by 6%, while companies are decreasing dividends. They're increasing dividends. If that's not a great sign of a business having a great cash position, I don't know what it is. They have authorized an increase in $50 billion to the existing share repurchase program. Another great win for investors, showing really solid cash position and confidence in future business. And then let's see. I wanted to go through the. There we go. This is what I want to go through. So here's the main things that you need to know out of this report. Okay. And we're going to look at these two columns here. I don't want to compare these two because these were 6 months ago. But they're going to be higher numbers, and they're going to be comparing different quarters. This would be comparing the the Q2 in 2020 and the Q2 in 2019, because that's what Apple is reporting, right? So total products saw a dip of 2 billion. We had services increased by 2 billion, so that kind of offsets that, which is a total win right there. I think for me personally, that is awesome. You can see revenues actually increase year on year by a little bit, despite its stores getting shut down. And if you guys know about Apple, they have beautiful stores. They have the most beautiful stores that people go to visit, and majority of their sales are foot traffic. There are a lot of sales that are done online as well, but they build these beautiful stores, so those people who are what they call geeks, geniuses, they help you out with your stuff, and that personal touch helps you really decide what product you want, right? So since the stores have been shut and they're still maintaining their services sales increasing while their product sales increasing, that's bullish to me, in my opinion. And then they've increased their R&D expenses, as well as their selling and general expenses. So marketing is probably increased together with R&D, which is another good sign. I don't mind this as an investor, even though it's increased. They still managed to maintain their strong operating cash flow position, which is a good sign. You can see by segment, the two biggest hit segments are Europe, and you can see the other was China. Okay. So Japan also got hit just a little bit, and the U.S. kind of didn't really get hit by net sales. So you can see the biggest were between Europe and China. And for net sales by category, you can see that the iPhones, MacBooks, and the iPads were the biggest hit, right? They were hit the most by this coronavirus. And then the wearables and services is what drove the bottom line up. So you can see these two segments are bread and butter, which is, I really see really good growth for this, and I think that they have a bright future ahead. The more they're able to monetize this platform, the more iPhones and the fact that the number of sales of iPhones drop, but then they're still able to get higher service revenue. That's awesome, because that just means that more people are using the App Store and buying more stuff, right? Because they're at home and they don't know what to do, so they spend it, right? They spend their money. They have a equivalent of $143 billion in cash, and total. These are all short term, right? The current assets are 1 year short term cash positions. Non-current assets more than 1 year, right? And this is 320 billion. So they have some investments in marketable securities. They have property, plant, equipment. This is $35 billion worth of capital that's sitting in any equipment or stores or anything like that. And then liabilities wise, they don't have a whole bunch. You can see it's a very good ratio here. Very much less liability than assets. So total, all in all, great report. I'm not going to go through the statement of cash flows because it's just going to be a reiteration. If you want to go through the statement of cash flows, you can know exactly where the money went from which account to which account. And that's Apple. So I think that overall it's a bullish report. In my opinion, it shouldn't have sold off. I think it's a great position for Apple to be in. Thank you guys for being here. If you haven't liked, subscribe, please go ahead and do that. Thank you if you're a first time subscriber. I appreciate your time being here. And okay, so we'll move on to Amazon real quick over here. I want to go through Amazon's statement here, which is the consolidated statement of cash flows. So with Amazon, the story is a little different. Um, let's just say with Amazon, we have net product sales that have increased year over year, which obviously we were expecting for coronavirus, right? We have total sales increased by a huge amount, and remember these numbers are in billions, right? This is in millions, so this would be billions. You divide this by 1,000 to get a billion, so 75 billion in sales, total net sales for Amazon in this year so far. We have the cost of sales, and this is the main thing that drove the stock down, was the increase in cost of sales from 33 to 44, an increase of 11 billion in that same time period. And you can see the breakdown is the fulfillment sector, the technology and content, which is what they've been spending a lot of money on, marketing, right, increased, and then general and selling, not really that much, but still increased, right, couple of 100 million there, and then so their operating expenses have ballooned in terms of its revenue, its total net sales. And the main thing that you want to see here is what is the effect of this on the business? Because the last time Amazon did this, it was actually a very positive effect. By spending money on its supply chain, it actually drove the sales up. But this time, it did drive the sales up. But the problem is that investors are not liking the rate at which Amazon is going through its cash. So net income actually dropped this time around to 1 billion and 3 billion the same period last year, which is the reason why investors are spooked. Okay, they had a comprehensive loss for their some portions of their balance sheet, and also unrealized gains on some debt securities. Okay, you can see by segment here, net sales were increased, and by segment, North America has increased significantly. However, still down year over year, and then international sales are down year over year as well. This is important for Amazon to continue to grow, because if they want to be an international business, they have to continue to grow the international segment. So for them to pour money into the segment makes perfect sense as an investor. And you can see the behemoth that it is, AWS, still continuing its steady climb, increasing once again year over year with its earnings, right? I think that investing in Amazon just because of AWS is like, it's enough. Like AWS is a monster and it continues to grow. There are so many adoptions for AWS. In fact, it's being used by medical services all around the world. If you read the report, you'll know that AWS is being used by many medical teams around the world to deal with coronavirus. So shows once again the robustness of the AWS team to put together a very comprehensive program very quickly to deal with the situation. So net income is down year over year, which is also another reason why investors are spooked. And their assets versus liabilities, I think, are pretty decent. They have a pretty strong cash position, but it's still down as they are, kind of burning through a lot of cash to increase their bottom line and top line. Their property and plant and equipment, I think, about increased by about 5 billion. So they're investing into maybe other warehouses and spaces and stuff like that. There you go. Operating leases are up a little bit, right, by $1 billion. And goodwill is about the same. Other assets about the same. Accounts receivables are down, so and that gives your total current assets down year over year. So the overall statement doesn't look that great, but I think that forward-looking wise, they have to do this in order to survive this. I think that business is smart for investing in the business right now so that they can get through this period, and these expenses that they make will end up positive for Amazon in the long run. So that's kind of the earnings report. That's how you read it. What do you make sense of the information? I hope that's helpful. And I think that if you go through the fundamental analysis like this, and if you want to know how to value a business after going through something like this, there's a video on my YouTube channel that you can go to It's called Fundamental Analysis, and I do a breakdown of how you value a business like Facebook after knowing all this information. You can go check out that link. Uh, there's also going to be a new video on not moving averages, on support and resistance that I'm going to be dropping more than likely tomorrow. Just working on the the final finishings on it, and just stay tuned for that as well. I hope that you guys enjoyed this live stream. So I'll be taking some questions now. Let's try to do this as long as we can. So let's check it out. All right. Good morning. Good morning. What's for breakfast? Your pots and pans. It's actually not breakfast here because I'm in Asia, so it's dinner for me. It's 8 p.m. over here, almost 8 p.m. 4 minutes more till 8 p.m. I'm going to be having dinner very shortly. And for dinner, I have some noodles. Some Asian style noodles, man. If you want some, come through. There's lots of it. You guys can have some. Right. Thank you for saying that, Jason. I appreciate it. Yes, if you haven't subscribed to the stream, please do. Please like the stream. That helps me out a ton. YouTube's algorithm goes gaga when you do that, and it starts to recommend these videos to other people. So I really do appreciate when you like the stream. It is a main, really important thing for me. Do you think that we'll see a W recovery? I don't know if we'll see a W recovery, but and there was something else I wanted to talk about here. Sorry, before I just got carried away doing the questions. I wanted to show you that an interesting thing that I was looking at was VIX and how VIX has performed since the 2008 financial crash. The fear index, which is VIX, right? It tracks the fear in the market. It spikes whenever the market sells off, and it drops whenever the market resumes to happy mode. When VIX was going through the 2008 financial crash, it reached an all-time high of about 96. Before taking about 61 days to correct down to the level that it is now, okay? And you can see the same crash that happened brought VIX up to about 85, but VIX has come down in half the time, which just shows that fear has flowed out of the system at twice the rate. And, I'm not sure what that really means in terms of whether we might go up to revisit that, but I dare say we may go up to this interim resistance at 48 before coming back down again. As I said, the market never moves down in a straight line, right? We will never see VIX go straight like that, right? You saw what happened. It went down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down. So I think there is a very high possibility that we see the down and then the up and then the down and the up and the down before resuming back down over here, where it sits in its range for a longer period of time, because that's what VIX's job is. It's meant to just stay at these levels when the market is not fearful. So just food for thought that we retrace really quickly. In fact, in half the time, this was 61 days and this was 30 days. So we may see another test of the top here. That's just something that I was looking at that I thought I should share with you guys. I don't know if we'll see a W recovery, but it's really a flipping a coin at this point. I like to go by what is going on weekly and daily rather than looking at the situation on a much broader perspective now. But as I said, we have hit that Fibonacci retracement that was coinciding with the moving averages. I foresee us coming down before going back up now. So thank you for explaining that, Jason. I appreciate it. Fundamental analysis is exactly what I was doing right there. Going through what the income statement and balance sheet was exactly what I was doing. So why didn't we think about CLX? Well, CLX, right? That was Clorox. Yeah, that was a good one to buy, but you never know, man. These things. What is going on with it, though? Thank you for the content. What do you think of now? ServiceNow. So this, I think, got downgraded today to neutral or sell. Go check it out. Make sure that you know what happened. ServiceNow, in my opinion, is now excessively bought up, right? It's overextended. I think I was looking at it yesterday. This was part of the watch list that I was looking at. So yeah, as I was saying, it's super extended over here. It's due for a pullback, as we can see. Lots of impulsive and corrective waves, right, over here. and then we have a big rally up. Definitely have to have a corrective wave before we go back up further. So we have moving averages pointing up and nice amount of volume that came in, but you can see the OBV is also pointing upward. But I don't think there's a risk to reward ratio to further upside here. I think the risk to reward ratio is to the downside to test this support over here. Or it might just come down to use the 50 moving average as a support, which is what it's been doing for a while. So as this moves further up and starts to flatten out, you may see service now come down to test this level over here. So I think that this would be a short-term bearish play. That's what I think. Zoom dropped drastically. Yes, Zoom dropped drastically on the news that it had some fraudulent numbers that wasn't really the fault of the company. I think they had a mishap in the reporting numbers where they said it was 300 million users daily, and I believe it was just some one-time users or something. You gotta look up the news. I'm pretty sure it was a misreporting that caused Zoom to drop drastically. Do you have your eyes on something today? Yes, I'm looking at Boeing. I'm looking at Beyond. Beyond sold off unexpectedly over a downgrade by Wells Fargo. I'm looking at Roku to play up to earnings. I'm looking at whatever is on the watch list. We have a watch list on Option Swing, guys. You gotta join just for the watch list. It's worth it. I'm telling you, every day right before the market opens, we have a watch list that we put out, and this watch list gives you a really good idea of where things are going to move. We give even a breakdown after the market, which Will puts together. Shout out to Will Warwick and O'Donnell, who puts together the watch list every day. These guys work hard for it every day. They give you the call outs and they tell you what is the resistance and the support, and it needs to break these two. And every day this watch list is consistently giving us plays. Look at it. Every day we have greens. Every single day. In fact, on this day there was a huge win, right? So even yesterday we had wins on Tesla, we had wins on Beyond, almost 10% wins on Tesla, 6% on Beyond. I'll be following the watch list. That's what I'll be doing. If you are on Option Swing, definitely follow the watch list. That's the important thing that you need to look at. But apart from that, I'll be looking at Beyond, Roku. I'll be looking at Boeing, and I'll be looking at Apple. I'll be looking at Microsoft. I'll be looking at majority of FANG stocks to see what they're gonna do. And Beyond, I just went through Beyond. So Beyond's been behaving a little erratically. Can I schedule a 30-minute lesson with you to go over a few questions, mostly pre-market scanning questions? Stay tuned for that. I may be thinking of making a second wave for the Everyday Growth Advisors mentorship program, and I'm going to put out the details soon enough, so stay tuned for that. Right now, I'm still completing the first mentorship group, and we have about 12 students who are doing extremely well. Like, I cannot express how well these students are doing. They have learned so much the past just 3 lessons, and actually today I'll be getting into options with them. It's becoming a really beautiful program because some of them are starting to post profits on the chat, and I'm really seeing a turnaround in their strategy. So stay tuned for that. Apps on my Instagram, I'll post some details. Hopefully trying to schedule another 12 students or more into the next batch, and you can schedule me through there. Can you please explain how to trade based on Option Swing watch list? Well, so every day they put out a watch list that essentially tells you the over and under of these stocks. So for example here, okay, let's look at one that actually paid so that it's easier for you guys to understand. So let's look at Beyond, right? I think somebody asked it, so I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone here and do both of them. So I'll show you what I mean. By the way, a part of the mentoring program that I do is showing how to plan trades, okay? And I think that's a very important aspect of trading. Like, if you don't know how to plan your trades based on risk and reward, you will never be able to figure it out. So for example, Beyond yesterday, okay, and we're gonna zoom into the 15-minute chart here because it was an intraday trade. we were taking that the position was taken for a day trade, not for a overnight swing. It was taken within the day and closed out within the day. So the watch list said that we would take beyond calls at $100.50. Okay, beyond $100.50 plus above that price, or we would take puts below 98. Okay, and beyond opened up at 97, but we got a false signal and we waited, right? If you would have taken puts right off the bat, first of all, we don't trade within the first 15 minutes of the market. So we always wait for things to settle. And within the first 15 minutes, we saw beyond push up. So we held off taking any put positions because it would trade above the 98 level, and that would have been a false signal for the put position, right? Now, we upon waiting, you would see beyond actually broke out of the 150 zone the next 15 minutes with really good volume, as you can see over here. OBV was pointing up. I'm going to zoom into the 5 minutes so you can look deeper. OBV was pointing up very strongly over here. You can see it right here. Okay, market opened up here, beyond pushed up with really good volume. It pushed up above $100.05 over here already. Okay, and so if you took the entry right at the breakout, you could have wrote this up for a $6 gain. Okay, and that's a lot in terms of options, right? If you take that trade. So that's kind of how it works. You need a confirmation of it breaking out of the zone that they have put on the watch list with good volume, and you can see the volume came in just 5 minutes later. So this would have been a good signal over here to start entering a small position once it broke out, and it was showing 3 consecutive bullish candlesticks breaking out of this region. You could have taken this to the upside. So Beyond ended up paying nicely over here. That's an example of how you use the watch list. Okay. And if you want to know how the trade planning is done, for example, how I teach my mentees on the channel or the mentorship program, you would have to take, based on a risk and reward approach, right? So remember, you always have to keep, for every trade, you always have to keep a risk to reward ratio of 1:2, right? So your aim is always to risk 1 and win 2, because then over a large number of trades, you end up winning, right? Because remember, when you go into the stock market, you're entering a casino, and the house always wins, right? It's always a 51% edge to the casino, right? And so if you're playing the casino game, you're always going to lose. So you have to stack the odds in your favor, and that's how the way you do that is by efficient position sizing and having a systematic approach. So every time you risk something, you risk 1 and you expect a reward of 2 or more, which gives you that edge. Okay, and now suddenly the odds are in your favor. So how do you plan a trade like that, right? Well, an easy example is, and I'm just giving an arbitrary value over here. I'm not going off what the actual price is. Let's say you entered the trade over here at $99, right? And beyond support is somewhere down here, right? And I'm going to make this red just so you can see. Sorry, red is not orange, it's red. Beyond support is somewhere here, right? Below here. And I'm going to put it a little lower so that it kind of comes to this support as well over here. And market makers don't stop you out, because market makers like to do that sometimes. So then you know that this risk that you're taking on is 99 minus 95. This 1R, I like to call it 1R distance, is going to be $4, right? So then you need to have a 2R distance of at least $8 upside, right? $8. Okay. So your 2R distance would be 99 plus 8, which is 108. And hey, look where that happens to be. It's actually at slightly right above the interim high of day. So this could be the way that you can plan the trade. You take the trade, enter the trade here, you set your stop loss, and then if you are in the green, you just move your stop loss higher as you go forward, right? You move your stop loss up whenever you are in profit. That was your entry. Your exit is here. Let me just draw the exit real quick, right? Somewhere here. And this gives you a 1:2 risk to reward. And then as you make profit, you just keep moving your stop loss up and up and up and up until to the point where it's consolidating, and you purposely make your stop loss so slim that it stops you out. And that's how you make sure that you don't lose out any gains on the top, right? If you made the run up and then you close your position somewhere here, and then the stock ends up running higher, you lose out on these potential gains. So you want to always move your stop loss higher. That way you are locking in profits as you go along. So that's a basic idea of how you do the trade planning. If you want to learn more, hit me up on my Instagram. I'll put you down on the wait list for the next. Clearly on the bottom, bad volume would be below the average. Anything below this is bad volume, right? So that's how you talk about volume in perspective. And you can always look at the numbers. I believe that volumes give accurate readings by showing you the number of millions of shares. All right, I guess this is going to be a short live stream. I don't see much questions here today. I'm going to wait one more minute for you guys to post any questions that you have. If not, please like the live stream. Please subscribe if you haven't, so that I can get you guys, more information when I have it. I'm gonna do a couple of more trade breakdowns. There's gonna be a video on support and resistance coming out very, very soon. It's almost done. I just been putting the few finishing touches on it. I'm also working on a surprise for some of you people in the option swing community, working on exactly the way that I planned the trade earlier. I'm working on a risk and reward calculator for my mentors and my mentees and for you guys, so that you guys can all have access to it and plan your trades and keep a log of it in a more organized fashion. So lots of exciting things coming out, and we will, get going. Okay, so let's see. What is this? What is considered okay? Thoughts on Uber? Well, honestly, right now, remember when the market is going downward like that, remember that you have to start to skew your positions to puts rather than calls. So you got to keep that bias in mind. Okay, Uber shows a nice bounce on. Let's look at it on the 1 hour chart. Showed a nice bounce on the moving average here, right? It has been making higher highs, right? I like this pattern. It looks bullish. However, you might want to see where it opens up today. I don't know where it's going to open up, but if you look at where it's going to open up, there may be a play to the upside here. I think the risk to reward ratio is there as well. You can possibly see a risk to reward ratio, maybe stop loss at here, entry right here, right? Let's say that's a $2. Yeah, there's a possible upside here because the next resistance is going to be at 35. So there's at least a 1:2 risk to reward ratio here. I would take Uber only on a breakout with good volume, and that's what I would do. Wait for the volume to come in on at least a 5-minute chart. You want to see the volume that it has been rallying on for the past few days, which is, you can see it. It's the average volume right here. You want at least this much of volume. If you see that much volume come in, ride the wave up. That's the breakdown for Uber. ABB earnings today, right? Great information. Thank you very much, sir. What's your thoughts on AMD? Thoughts on HD? Roku still? I'm holding Roku into ER. Well, I may not hold it for the earnings report, but I'm holding it till the earnings report, more than likely, to build up the IV of the contract. What's your thoughts on AMD? AMD has been selling off, huh? I think AMD is down, maybe? Let's look. AMD is down 1% to 50.94. Yeah, it got wrecked. It's in a downtrend from what I see, AMD. Let's look at it. Yeah, AMD has considerable downside. It broke below this support over here, and it's somewhere here now. So there is a downside for AMD. However, remember, nothing goes down in a straight line, so you have these impulsive and corrective waves. Remember, it may come up to test 54 before making another leg down, so be aware of that. Or it may even just come up to, this. Yeah, it's more than likely going to come up to meet the moving average somewhere here. I want to say between this region. It's so wait for AMD to come up to test the moving average or test some kind of the resistance, and then take your entry for puts. don't enter here because you're chasing a trade. You can see volume is flowing out already, which means this play is actually pretty good, solid play. Volume is flowing out, right? So wait for the next corrective wave up and then take puts. Home Depot. Okay, Home Depot, let's have a look at it. Da, 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 da. Home Depot looks bullish, however, with a possible correction. It's facing a very, very big resistance level over here. I think you want to play this to the downside before it runs up again, especially with Home Depot is one of the bigger holdings in the Dow Jones. So remember, as the market sells off, Home Depot is going to sell with it, especially with the Dow Jones very, very heavily depressed. So it's also showing, kind of a down on the RSI. We have volume kind of just, I don't know. It's a very, very weird. It's in the middle, so I don't feel comfortable playing this to the upside at all. I want to wait for a swing to the extreme, either the downside or a further upside before I take puts to the downside. So that's how you might want to play Home Depot. I don't see the risk to reward in this trade, by the way. You're welcome, Ryan. Micron. What are the 5 indicators you're using? If you're part of option swing, I have the indicators put into the education chat. If you're not part of option swing, then message me on Instagram, DM me on Instagram, and I will send you a list of the indicators and how to get them. If you're in option swing, it's on the pinned messages in the educational chat. If you scroll down here, you'll find it. Let's see. Micron, I'll do Micron a little bit. Do you think Tesla will drop more until end next week? Tesla is always a question mark, but it seems like it's building bearish momentum. As the market sells off, it may continue to sell off with the market. So we'll have to see how Tesla opens today. And if it goes down to test the 150 moving average at 720, that would be the clear thing here. It's it's testing this support over here. So I don't know if it already broke it. Let's see. Tesla's at 761. So it already broke it. Well, yeah, kind of. It did break it, but it could still rally back up. It's sitting on a moving average, so it could use this as a support and rally back up. We need to see Tesla sell off with good volume in order to take this and play this to the downside at 680. You're welcome. Thoughts on PayPal? Let's see. Micron. So somebody put Micron in there. Let's see. Micron. Micron is showing. I think it sold off. I believe. Micron sold off overnight with the market. So let's have a look. It's at 46.40. It's down about 1%. Micron looks interesting, but I just, it's going to open up somewhere here. 46.40. I think it's going to bounce on the moving average before going higher. So I would wait for patience. Have patience with Micron. Wait for it to come down here to test this level. And then wait for the bounce and then execute your trade to the upside. Make sure that you calculate your risk and reward. Make sure that you have good risk to reward there. We have also with Micron, you can see volume is nicely increasing here, right? And the moving average is just crossing up. That's what caused the spike in the stock. You have the 50 crossing over the 150 and the 200, which is the golden cross, right? So you may see a little bit of a wave down and then another wave up. So take it on the wave down. Don't buy it on the wave up. That's my advice. CL looks like it might pop today. Okay, lots of volume. All right. Thank you for letting me know. Thoughts on PayPal. Thoughts on Caterpillar day trade. Seems like volatile $2 jump around every day happens. Caterpillar. Let's look at Caterpillar. $2 down. It's down 2%. So 113. Let's look at Caterpillar really quickly. 113. 113. It's here right now, sitting right above. Well, it broke below the old resistance. This was the old resistance, and now it broke below again. So it's gonna have to struggle to fight that again. Looking bullish though to me. Nice amount of volume. Still room to run up on the RSI. However, you need some volume in this stock. You need at least this much of volume. So you need to see a nice buy on Caterpillar with decent volume like this, and then you can enter the stock long. Looks nice for a bounce though. I do agree. It looks like a nice bounce on there. PayPal, I'll do PayPal in a little bit. If I join, how long do I have to wait to join your group? It's gonna be probably in I think 2 weeks from now. So I get done with the week, the first group in a week from now, and then I'm gonna take a week to about restructure the course and come up with some more information for the course, and then you can sign up for it. I'm gonna put a post out on Instagram maybe sometime this weekend for a wait list, and I'm only gonna be taking in about 20 students. So when you are ready, just message me on Instagram, and I'll put your name on the wait list, and that way you can secure a spot by prepaying for it, and then we can talk further from there. So PayPal is the last one. I'm going to do PayPal, and then I'm going to do Netflix, and then that's about it for today, guys. So PYPL. All right, so PayPal has, oh wow, this is a crazy run up. Very bullish. However, you have earnings coming next week, so I would be really careful with this. Also, very strong resistance level here, and it wasn't able to break it. I think you may be best playing this to the downside because there is no risk to reward on the upside. I think PayPal is a downside play instead of an upside play. You take puts up here if it fails to break. Try to get PayPal on the next rally if possible. Buy some puts and write that down to the support or the moving average somewhere here at 118. You're looking at like a $4 move. I think that's a good day trade if you look at it. So that's what I think with PayPal, because it's really way over. Its run has been crazy. A lot of impulsive and corrective waves though. So this may be, kind of waiting to make a corrective wave down. I would enter, let's see where it is on the pre-market. This may actually be a stock that I may consider trading today. PayPal. See, this is why I love this live stream, and this is why I love you guys, because you give me ideas, and that's, priceless. So 120, it's down. Oh, it's already down. Damn, we kind of missed it. Shit. Okay, well then in that case you're gonna have to wait for a rally up before you play this again. I don't think it's gonna break this level over here. So what you do right now is you wait for PayPal to make a rally up to test this again at 120, 123, 122, right? 123 somewhere here, and then you enter puts again. I think the risk to reward ratio is good. You can set your stop loss right above this level, very tight stop loss at 124.50. 124.50 if you're playing option contracts, that's going to be a very tight stop loss. And then you write this down possibly to 116 at the support of the moving average and where this support is right here. Very high chance that you might get a good trade out of this. Okay, Netflix. More details of the course will be posted on the Instagram. Just stay tuned for the price and all of that. I see a lot of people asking questions about it already. So just stay tuned. I'm going to post some information this weekend for you guys, okay? And the course is going to be slightly redesigned. Instead of being one-on-one, it's going to be more than likely 2 or 3 people per session, because I've realized that when there are more people, like 2 or 3 people, it actually ends up more informative. And it has been really, really great because people start talking and they start exchanging ideas, and their creative juices start flowing, and they get trades out of those. And I can't express how many of my mentees have already paid off the course, basically. And it's going to be more than likely going to be a 1 week course this time, because I'm going to accelerate everything down into a couple of courses. So okay, let's do Netflix, and then after that I'm going to get out of here, because pre-markets the market's about to open, and I want to be sure to close out my positions today. These past few days have been a little brutal. So okay, Netflix is showing signs of consolidation over here in a descending triangle. Watch out for the consolidation, and it has to either come down to test this moving average. If it does, it's probably going to sell off with the broader market. NFLX, it's at 415.97, which means it's already down here somewhere. Okay, 415, it's right here. It's sitting on support. Wait for Netflix today to I think it might make a move down. The way it's going, it's making lower highs, and it's exhibiting a downtrend. So it may continue to its trajectory downward. You could either wait, or you could take a put position if you see decent volume. And decent volume is going to be this much of volume on the 1 hour chart. I'm looking at it. So if you see the volume and it breaks through this support, I would take it to the downside. That's what I see on Netflix. I think there's a decent risk to reward ratio there. Set your stop up here at 425, and then play the downside all the way down to possibly even 403. So you have about a risk to reward ratio there of 1:2 for sure. All right then. Why hasn't ABBV moved? I think we can discuss ABBV in the next live stream, or you could take the discussion offline with me on option swing. I'll be happy to answer your questions there. I want to keep this stream as short as possible, and the market's about to begin. So I'm sorry I can't answer this question, but hit me up in the DM and I'll answer the question. Okay. Thank you guys for streaming tuning into the live stream. Once again, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please go ahead, do that. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your time. Have a good day. Happy weekend. Spend some of that money you made this week, and peace. Love to all of you guys.